if you think about the moments in your life where you're not stressed and you're not anxious,
Yeah.
and you can have
The
these
flow
moments of
state.
clarity that are
Hmm.
just absolutely incredible. And
Yeah.
that's what we know, is that the world is making your brain and your body more noisy.
Welcome back to Super Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Shahid Durrani, the show where we dive into the minds of high performing entrepreneurs, innovators, world class leaders. If you are someone who's always looking to grow, push limits, and think and do bigger, you're in the right place. Today we have with us Andrew Herr. Andrew is the founder of FlyKitt, a health brand that helps travelers with jet lag and beat travel fatigue while arriving ready to perform. Whether you're closing a deal across the globe or you're just hopping between time zones, FlyKitt has your back. Andrew has worked with elite military units, sports teams, and top executives, all to solve one huge problem. How do you stay on top of your game anywhere in the world? So let's welcome Andrew. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
Thanks, Shahad. It's great to be here.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. So, one question that I want to ask you: what was that moment that got you to realize that this is the innovation I need to bring to the world? This is an issue for many. I'm actually pretty good, but I know a lot of family members and colleagues, they dread it. So it's a great idea, great concept. There's a lot of homemade remedies people recommend and everything, but what happened that got you to bring this to the market?
Yeah, so if I think about the path for this to come from idea to conception to reality, it all starts with my background working with the military, where I worked on issues around sleep and performance, circadian rhythm, serendipity, synchronicity, to work with Navy SEALs who were working on long dive missions. And it
Yeah.
turns out that, and this will come back to jet lag, that in scuba diving, you have these big pressure changes. And if you don't handle them properly and you come up too quickly, people have heard of the bends or decompression sickness. It could be very serious. And it turns out that the kind of cutting edge research on it wasn't just showing that, basically showing the mechanism of the pressure change was through, like, basically causing your immune system to freak out and cause a bunch of damage. So now fast forward to the proximate sort of event that led to this product, our FlyKitt product and the company, was an executive came to me. I was coaching him to optimize his health and performance. He's like, look, I fly from the East Coast, Korea, to close business deals regularly. We land at 4 p.m. There's a big dinner that night, and they want to negotiate at 7 a.m. the next morning. We're getting fucking killed here. Pardon my French. His words, not mine. They're using jet lag as a negotiating tool. He said, I'm leaving on Tuesday. What should I do? It was Sunday. I was like, great, David. I'll deliver you a program tomorrow. So I sat down and just had one of those rare and beautiful sessions in your life where you just feel like everything's channeling in. I was like, I actually hadn't thought specifically about jet lag and how to solve it before. And I just brought together half a career's worth of insights and science and data and just caught it all together in that one moment and realized, okay, I need to manage inflammation, but not only inflammation from flying, I need to manage inflammation from not having enough sleep. Because one of the big things that happens when you don't get enough sleep is you get inflammation. So I need to manage it both ways. Then I need to shift your circadian rhythm backwards and forwards at the right time. I put together a program, and this was like, really, we talk about a beta or an alpha version. It was typed out on Microsoft Word. I delivered a box of bottles of supplements to his office the next day on Monday. So now he flies on Tuesday. I hear from him, or it was Wednesday, Thursday. I get an email from Korea. He says, Andrew, what did you do? I just slept 8 hours my first night. This is incredible. And had I not had the background and the experience and these insights and this like real moment of clarity on how to do it, and had it not worked for him, Because now we find it works for about 93% of people. But if he'd been one of the 7%, I probably would have just said, all right, there's nothing to do here. But it worked incredibly for him. And then I started trying it for other people. And it worked, and it worked, and it worked.
Yeah,
And
love
then I
it.
knew there was something special there.
There's something
And
there.
now
Yeah.
we've refined it, 5 generations later. We have an app with an AI algorithm that can customize any plan in the world in 10 seconds and takes into account your body and different preferences. And we have these custom formulated supplements that we make here in the US that are independently tested, quality. Now it's like every piece of it's together. And so we're sending thousands and thousands of people a month, Europe, Australia, Antarctica. And like people don't have to do anything before the morning they leave and they sleep well their first night. And that's something we're really proud of.
Yes, wonderful. Great story. And that one point that you mentioned about that clarity that you received is like a blurry image turning into an actual image that you can do something with. And I found that when I was really eager for results, when I was really pushing myself that I need to do this, I need to get this target, I need it bad. When I had that neediness and that pressure, I got to do this, I was hustling. I felt that it got more foggy when I kept jumping at different places. Once I started working on the calmness of the mind, I realized that now when I let go, things come like you explained just now exactly is and a clear image. This is what you got to do. And it's, 3 or 4 of those things I know and I never even looked at before. And now it's being painted in a clear picture for me to just follow. And it simplifies it. Where did this come from? Why does this clarity come? And I just find that calmness of mind helps a lot to bring it to your consciousness.
100%. I think a lot about the noise in our mind, right? That's what makes noise. We used to call it with the old TVs that had that like black and white fuzz. You call it noise, or in engineering, there's a
White
signal
noise.
to noise. And it's like and it just makes it harder to see the fine details. And I think exactly, if you think about the moments in your life where you're not stressed and you're not anxious, and you can have these moments of clarity that are just absolutely incredible. And that's what we know, is that the world is making your brain and your body more noisy. I was just talking to somebody this morning that, like, if you think about the average person, they wake up in the morning and they put products on their skin and their hair that have these synthetic chemicals, chemicals. So now your senses are being overstimulated or are sensing a threat because these chemicals, senses. Now feeling is disrupted. Now we're eating sugar and caffeine and other things that can stimulate anxiety. Caffeine's not bad for everybody, but it can be. So that's through your taste. And now through your hearing, like loud noises, music, like certain types of music are very good at increasing anxiety. You're looking at Instagram, you're looking at things that are maybe increasing stress and anxiety. And suddenly, I think I just named all 5 of your senses. And if you think about it, then the world is trying to disrupt your ability to get into the state, unintentionally, intentionally. We could talk about that another time. But whatever we can do to calm our mind and get in this state of clarity and just open the channel, I think that's beautiful. And look, we work in travel because what we found, I've coached executives that work with pro sports teams. Travel is actually one of the biggest challenges to all of them in maintaining their performance. And so one of the reasons that we focus on travel is because, one, a lot of our biggest events, whether it's big business stuff, is important on travel, or a big memory you're creating with your family when you're just on vacation. Those are travel. And 2, it's a huge disruption. You come home, your wife or husband's been handling the kids for a week. Now you come back, you don't want to come back angry, upset, short temper, tired, not able to engage. And so we want to take the noise away from travel to allow you to be present home and away. And so I think that ties a little bit to our mission at FlyKitt, which is, to help people, feel, perform, experience life better by removing this physiological insult, psychological stress. The cool thing I'm excited is we're launching new features now. So we have our core jet lag product, works frankly incredibly well. And then now we're adding features to manage your stress, walk into a gym anywhere in the world, take photos of the equipment, and it'll work you to find the healthiest food in the world. So the stuff you're eating isn't creating noise in the body, isn't driving that inflammation. So basically, my goal is to make it just as easy or maybe even easier to feel great, perform at your best, and stay healthy on the road as you do at home.
Andrew, what do you think the percentage of placebo has to play in this?
I think we misunderstand the concept of placebo. I call the placebo the motivation effect. Okay, that means it's not a bad thing. Like, I like the placebo effect if it's helping you. The reason we have this negative connotation of placebo effect is sometimes it means that we would mistakenly give people a drug or something that has all these negative side effects of surgery. So yeah, there the placebo effect is risky because like maybe you're going to tell people to do something that's going to hurt them. My sense though is for something where the physiological effects are so large, like jet lag, where often people will feel bad for several days, that the placebo effect is probably a relatively small part. But if it's a medium part for some people, great. Like, as I don't care, I just want you to feel better and be able to do what you want to do. So
Yeah.
we don't have a study yet to show it, but I ran some studies before, and placebo effect. For example, I ran a supplement study with Army cadets, and the placebo effect was about a third to a half of the overall effect. That's meaningful. But the size of the effects we were seeing, I mean, they were increasing like strength and other things. My general take is it helps, but I think the funny thing is people say, "Oh, it's just placebo effect," and then they'll do nothing, and they won't get the placebo effect or the real effect. And so it's like there's a trade-off. So it definitely has a role, though.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. Because the reason why I was asking that is the power of the human mind is just phenomenally powerful, especially when we assume something to be true within. So if we believe, I'm not downplaying what you have here at all. I'm not saying in that sense because we still need the ingredients. I'm just referring it to the mind that when we feel something to be true, it usually happens. I'll give you an example. I was at a dentist and I had a severe root canal, and he ejected me 3 times and the pain wasn't going away. And he had this problem with me for forever. I'm one of the patients, he knows that it doesn't work on me that well. He said, I can't give this anymore. I don't want to take a chance. I think we did a lot. You just got to take it. So right then I shifted what I'm dealing with because I had to deal with it. So I had to make it something that I can manage. So I started shifting my attention, my focus, my awareness, and just being present with the situation. Even though it was painful, I was just being aware of that pain and just let it be without thinking about, oh my God, this is so horrible, this is so horrible, this is so horrible, and make the situation a hell of a lot worse. And actually, I was able to manage it. And that was just the power of the mind. In many different areas, you'll see that placebo. There's a lot of studies on it.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think we underestimate our minds' abilities at our own peril. So I absolutely agree. I think we can certainly amplify the signal. If you're going to have a hard time falling asleep physiologically and then you're anxious, then you're definitely not going to fall asleep. And maybe what we know is, of course, you can calm your nervous system, which then calms your immune system, which then calms your stress hormone system. So I think you're absolutely right. And I believe we absolutely have tremendous control. I think it was from a famous book on somebody who was in a concentration camp. It basically said
That's the one I was talking about.
The last freedom is choosing how we respond. And
I forgot his name.
I think the book's called Night, but anyways, I'm blanking out as well. But the point that I totally agree with is we have tremendous power over our bodies. And when we give up on that or just assume it away or really listen to the message, which is that you don't, right? It's that, all these challenges, I've worked with a lot of people with pretty heavyweight childhood trauma. And does that have an effect? Absolutely. It helps wire the body a certain way or wires the body a certain way. But it's not a sentence forever. It's not a life sentence. And so I think the beautiful thing is everything here is an opportunity to get better. And yes, if we can learn to quiet our mind, breath work, meditation, some people mantra-based prayer, all these different tools to connect deeper into ourselves. And if you're
Mm.
spiritual, then higher into the higher above too.
Source.
How can we find that signal that can make life smoother regardless of the external circumstances?
Beautiful. Love it, Andrew. And for the audience on YouTube, if you got wrecked by jet lag, you have to share a comment here. Please just tell us a story about something that happened to you while traveling and dealing with jet lag. We'll love to hear from you. So thank you. And Andrew, thank you for that amazing explanation of this niche that people just overlook, because when we're flying at the last minute, then we realize, okay, I need this. I maybe get the cover my eyes so I could sleep. Those last minute things, nobody thinks about this as much. Typically, bringing this awareness and having it available in all the right spots is having that high intent for this product. Obviously, you're probably selling a lot in airports, whatnot. But when you see it, you say, yeah, this is good. Let me try it. And once that they have that experience, that's going to allow them to be more happier, fulfilled, and joyful and productive in what they're doing. So kudos to you for bringing this to the market.
Thank you. And our goal is, hey, if you try this and it really helps you, as it does for, like I said, 93% of people, then maybe it tells you, hey, there's other opportunities. There's other things out there that could help me too. And so I always hope that it also helps to open people's eyes to this sort of like next generation of products that are really effective, more than just somebody saying, hey, take this supplement for 20 years and maybe it'll help at the end. But there's things that can really help you today. And so that's our goal. We want to help you today. And so you can be better today and tomorrow. So thanks so much for having me on. Really beautiful. And I look forward to hearing from your audience. And hey, we make it easy to try FlyKitt. If you're not sure, try it, buy it. And if it doesn't work for you, we'll just give you your money back. So that's the confidence we have, and the sort of standard we want to live to is like, if it doesn't work for you, we'll just give you your money back.
Very good. That's a great offer. Perfect. Thank you so much. But now, Andrew, I wanted to ask you about your faith, not in the religious sense, but faith that you had in what you're going to achieve in life. Did you always have a level of belief in yourself and what you will eventually create? Did you feel like you are going to make it? You had that faith?
I think it started maybe from the opposite angle, which was to say, I always felt an obligation to do something good for the world. Okay. And so that's where it started, is more of a feeling of like, I did have faith in my abilities and skills, and I have an obligation to use these for good. And then as I've gotten older and more in touch with my faith in both senses, I do believe that I've always had confidence in myself, so I guess I always believed I'd be successful. And now I believe I will absolutely be successful, and that every challenge along the way is just a signal, or is helping me, nudge me one way or another, is helping me figure out the actual path I need to be taking, because maybe the other path wasn't the one that was meant to be. Doesn't mean I just give up at the first sign of a challenge, obviously, but I'm always looking for signals in the environment. What's this? There's a saying in the personal development world, not why is this happening to me? Why is this happening for me? And so I'm always trying to figure out, like, if something seems hard or challenging, why is this happening for me? In personal, but also in business. It's like, hey, this product or this service we launched, it just doesn't seem to be catching on. What can I learn from this? What is here to tell me? And we've gone through a bunch of different iterations. In fact, we launched this company in March 2020, really, which was not a good time to sell a travel product, because COVID had just hit, everything was shut down. And so we pivoted to coaching in health and performance optimization coaching. And that brought us a tremendous amount of data and insights and built the foundations of the company as it is. And now we are back to travel space, but we got to bring all those insights from this sort of holistic health and wellness coaching. And that just makes what we do even better. And it has the team that we brought from doing that work now into travel is much stronger. And even if that initial path was not the one that we stayed on forever, it brought us to where we are today in a way that's even more powerful.
So say if someone is going to travel tomorrow, a long haul, maybe they're going from somewhere in the States to Australia, what would you give them as steps Obviously, getting the product is one, but something they could also do that could help them minimize the crash.
Sure. Obviously, you can buy a fly kit. You can get them off Amazon so that you can get them next day. But let's say you don't have one, or things you can layer on top of using a fly kit. The two things that we've learned are the core of jet lag are inflammation and circadian rhythm misalignment. So the first stuff you want to do is managing inflammation. You want to eat, especially for when you're on a plane, you want to eat higher protein, lower carb meals. You want to, if you like fasting, this can be a time to fast, but not everyone's into it. So if you're going to eat, go higher protein, lower carb, because a bunch of carbs, especially when we're sedentary, we're sitting on a plane, other things, can raise our blood sugar, which can cause inflammation. 2, eat pretty healthy stuff. If you can be eating fish and vegetables, stuff like that, good, ideal. The second thing is you want to move as much as you can, because one of the effects of inflammation, people will recognize, like blood pools in your legs. There's even a higher chance of getting a blood clot in your legs when you fly. So see if you can move, exercise before you can get on the plane, even. That's great because that lowers your levels of inflammation. 2, the dry air thing is real. So you do want to drink a lot of water. And you want to then get the right amount of sleep. So if you get on a plane, most of those flights leave the West Coast in the evening. If you basically sleep the wrong amount, which means if you go to sleep right away when you get on that plane and sleep 8 hours, you're going to wake up at 2 a.m. Australia time or something like that. I forget the exact thing, but that sounds about right. You wake up about midnight to 2 a.m. Australia time. And so the problem with that, of course, is then you're not going to be able to sleep later, and then you're going to crash in the afternoon when you land, because those flights land about 6 a.m., 7 a.m. on Australia usually. So what do you actually want to do? You want to get the least amount of sleep that allows you to align the best with your destination. And sometimes that means getting less sleep. So it actually, with Australia, you means you want to maybe sleep a little bit at the beginning of the flight, maybe an hour and a half, wake up, and then go back to bed so that you can sleep basically almost until you land in the morning. So you don't want to sleep all of it right away, because then you're going to just be totally off. But if you sleep a little, then you can wake up for a few hours, watch a movie, do a few things, and then you'll be able to go back to sleep. But if you sleep 8 hours, you're not going to be able to go back to sleep again. Or when you're flying to Japan, those flights, if you sleep 8 hours, it means you're waking up at 4 or 5 p.m. Tokyo time, and you're never going to be able to go to bed that night. So you actually only want to sleep for about 4.5 hours on that flight to Tokyo. And the FlyKitt app will give you the optimal time of sleep and how much to sleep. So it'll do all this for you. But really, you want to align your sleep and make sure you don't get too much so you're not up too late, and then you cannot fall to bed to sleep that night. So this is like this combination of inflammation and the circadian alignment. There's some really counterintuitive things to do here. And so you can do them yourself, but obviously we want to make them easy for our customers. And that's, the app just gives you a reminder whenever you need to do something, what time to wake up, what time to go to sleep, when to eat, when to take the supplements. But those are the two big things you want to think about. Managing inflammation, you land, workout. If it's later in the day, do a kind of low and slow zone 2 workout, but take some of the inflammation off. If it's in the morning, you might do a more intense workout, a HIIT or a harder run or weightlifting, things like that. So these are the things I'm thinking about for everybody. And then those will be integrated into your FlyKitt plan if you use the product.
Good, because it's not just the product, you're getting the support with it. Appreciate you, Andrew. Andrew, thank you so much for sharing this and coming on our show, gifting us your time. I can imagine it must be so busy, and we'd love to hear any new improvements or any new innovations. Definitely get in touch with us.